Whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast. What's up, everybody? This is Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Rob, and I'm creeping it real.
And we're getting ready for another awesome guest.
I'm super pumped.
Yes,
super,
this is going to be great. Rob, who do we have tonight?
We have Dennis McNamara on here. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Hell yeah, doing great, man.
Yeah. So for the people who might not know who you are, or they might not follow you on social media or that sort of thing, where did you kind of get your passion for reptiles? Are you always a lifelong reptile lover?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's kind of a story, but I don't know. As a kid, I grew up across from some woods, and we'd go catch some animals, but just whatever was out there and whatever we saw. But I think the turning point for me was a David Letterman episode. I don't know. I think I was probably like 13 or something like that, and he had somebody on, I don't remember who, that had a whole bunch of animals, and it took me about a year to convince my mother that I needed to have some of those animals. And then I did it, and I actually had a biology teacher in high school that had a boa and a black rat snake and a tokay and a rose tarantula, and I think that was about it. And so it kind of made it so those kind of things spurred me on, and I don't know, and then I used to go to this big pet store that was near me called Animal Jungle, and then I started working there when I was in high school, and that kind of made it so it was a big pet store. We did, I don't know, and it was a 27,000 square foot pet store. It was an old Food Lion.
Wow.
And
Damn, yeah.
we had a big reptile section. This was in, I don't know, I started working there in 1993, I think, 1993, and at that time we did like $40,000 or $50,000 of the reptile business a month.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it was like, for that time frame and all the things that were there, it was a great time. I got to see a lot of cool stuff. I got to learn a lot of things, and it actually segued into my current career. I work at a zoo. A customer and the guy that worked at the zoo was like, "You need to come work at the zoo," and I was like, "I do." And he was like, "Yeah." And he brought me an application. I filled it out, and that was almost 21 years ago that I started working at the zoo. So,
Wow.
I don't know. So I've had a private collection that whole time, and then I've gotten to do it professionally in multiple different aspects, and so it's been great.
That's incredible. And
Hell yeah.
so he was just like one of the customers that came in, and he was like, "You know a lot about animals. You need to come work for us."
We've become friends.
Yeah.
I knew him. I knew him over, and there's a very big herp community here in this area in Virginia Beach. And so he was one of the guys I got to know. He's one of my better friends. He's in my wedding. And just knowing him over the years, and I don't know, I'd known him for a few years at that point in time, and then he just was like, "There's a spot. You should really take it. I think you'd be great." And then, again, like, you couldn't do that today. Like, I have interns that work for me that work for free for a year or 2 years just trying to get an interview. And, like,
Yeah.
he really brought me an application, turned it in, got me an interview, and I got a job the first time I even tried. So I was super lucky. And, again, I don't think it would never happen that way today. So I try to remember that whenever I have people come to intern for me or work for me or whatever else, just that I really had it fall in my lap. Not to say I didn't work hard and I did a good job, I think. So, I think all those things helped, but I really did just luck out.
Yeah. And what are some of the things that you work with at the zoo, or like some of the things that you're really, because I love seeing all the stuff that you're working with over there, and it's super interesting to me. So what are some of the things that you work with on a daily or weekly basis at the zoo?
My job is I oversee the reptile section. So the reptile department of the zoo, we have roughly, I don't know, say 500 animals, roughly 100 species, give or take, depending on what we have going on. And we have everything from Siamese crocodile, we have king cobra, we have Ethiopian mountain adder, we have rhino vipers, we have green tree pythons, Amazon basin emeralds, black, blue, yellow, green tree monitors, croc monitors, rays monitor, Aldabra tortoise. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. And people always ask me what's my favorite or what gets me excited. And I'm really lucky that I actually get to pick up the collection. So
it's all stuff you love.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, I don't know, it all excites me. I don't ever, there's not an exhibit in there. Well, we have like a Madagascar hits and cockroach exhibit, but sometimes I'm like, oh, we could do something cooler, but people like it. And
Yeah.
we actually made it in. There's a woman that volunteers for us that does incredible artwork, and she actually made it into a roach motel. We were in there, and there's roaches crawling all over us, so it's pretty cool. I'm very lucky to be in the spot that I am, and then just got to pick out really a whole bunch of cool animals. There were a couple things like I didn't get Komodo. I really wanted Komodo, but we didn't get that. But I have cross monitors, I have gaze monitors, we have white throat monitors, we have black, blue, yellow, green tree monitors. So I can't really complain too much.
Yeah.
I think we have monitors that are rarer than Komodos.
I was saying the Grays. I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Glazed right over the fact that you guys have Grays monitors. And I was like, wait a second, what?
Yeah, it's a crazy lizard that eats figs and fruit like they're alive. It's amazing.
Yeah. So they still try and kill it and everything like it's alive?
Oh, they're just... We only have one. It's a female, and like she'll try to... Like, if you walk in there and you have a radio on, she'll try to eat your radio. Like, she's just kind of a...
Wow.
She's just kind of a machine. She has no fear of anything, and she's just kind of... Like, she just... When she wants something, she just kind of takes it.
Wow.
And we do a lot of bugs, and she gets one rodent a week, plus like micro or superworms 3 days a week, and then fruit 1 day a week. But I would say everything is eaten with the same ambition. It's kind of crazy.
That is wild. I don't think I've ever seen a Gray's monitor in person.
No, me either.
It's a beautiful lizard. I mean, it's really yellow. I'd say kind of, we have a female, so probably like adult mangrove monitor size, kind of. Like,
Okay.
I don't know, probably like 4.5 feet.
Yep.
Yeah.
The males can be big. They call them banjo lizards in the wild in the Philippines. They can be like the males can be like 5 6 feet, I think, so the big males.
Wow.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's a good size monitor for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty much just it's a tree monitor. I mean, there's like it really hardly is ever on the ground unless it's kind of searching for things. It's always in the trees, always looking for things up there, and super cool animal.
Yeah. And you guys have some Mangshans there and like Parviocula and stuff like that?
Yep.
Oh,
So our venomous collection, we have Parviocula, we have Mangshan. Which Parviocula are my favorite.
they're amazing.
Yeah.
We have rhino vipers. We have rubile rattlesnakes. We have Pierce, the speckled rattlesnake. We have clawbri, red pygmies. We have timber rattlesnakes. We have some Mexican cantails that I have. There's eyelash viper. I think that might be it. There might be something I'm missing, and then a king cobra.
Hell yeah.
That's a cool section.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great, it's a great little group of animals.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I think about the zoos around here and they don't really have venomous snakes on display. I think the only place in New England that I can think of that has venomous snakes, like Nerd, we had some on display, but we don't really display them off that much anymore. Besides Lilith, the blue-eyed leucistic king cobra, she's on display. So like when people take a tour of the facility, they'd see her. But most of our venomous collection is not on display. I'm trying to think. The Museum of Science in Boston has timber rattlesnakes on display, but that's pretty much it. It's like hardly, since venomous snakes are so heavily regulated in New England, no one privately owns them, and most of the zoos are not very interested in having them. So you can't really see. You have to go outside of our immediate area if you want to see any venomous snakes on display. So it's interesting to me to go out other places and see stuff. Like we had gone to a zoo in Catoctin, like Pennsylvania area.
Yeah.
And they have like a king cobra, and they've got timber rattlesnakes. They've got eyelash vipers, a lot of different stuff on display. And I was just like curious, so I asked one of the zookeepers who had come into the reptile house. I was like, hey, like who takes care of your reptiles? And he was like, oh, well I do. And I was like, so do you have your own pet reptiles? He's like, oh no, I had never worked with reptiles before 6 months ago. And I was like, oh my god, you have king cobras and all this stuff and a croc monitor in here, and you haven't worked with reptiles besides 6 months?
Oof.
It's wild.
Yeah, well, see, those are things that kind of scare me. I'm lucky I have a great staff, and and just people that have been doing it for a while for the most part, and just I don't know, we know how to work around things and do stuff like that. That kind of stuff like croc monitors to me. I know they're like the fanciest and the shiniest thing right now, but man, there's not a lot of stuff that's actually like that animal. That reacts to that animal. Like that animal reacts first and then does everything second. Like it's just, and they're so fast and they so different. And I don't get me wrong, I think it's a fantastic animal.
Yeah.
But it is not for 99.9% of the people that think they want one.
I agree with you 100%.
It is not. It is not like any. I don't even know if it's anything like any other monitor.
No.
It's just like just smart and quick and like we make ours jump back and forth to eat. So like he'll jump like 3-4 feet back and forth to grab mice and like
it's nothing.
Just the agility and just the way that thing goes. It's just an amazing animal. I get why people like them, but
yeah.
And there's something about that lizard that makes me go, I wish not everybody liked them as much as they do.
Yeah,
for
honestly,
sure.
Of all the things that I work with at Nerd, crocodile monitors are one of the only things that makes me nervous. Like when I go in there, because of how much space they can cover in a very short amount of time, and how sharp and how potent their teeth are. They are one of the few things that I take a lot of caution whenever I'm working with things, but I always double, triple, quadruple check everything I'm doing when I'm working with the croc monitors, because any little accident could be a very seriously life-changing accident.
Yeah.
Yes, it's probably a worse bite than a venomous snake in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just it has the potential just for, I don't know, especially depending on where you get bit. I mean, shoot, I don't even know. It scares me. I watch some videos. I see pictures of people out there that that do a lot of things with them, and I know they have experience and do things like that. But I don't know. I just having worked with one for a long time, and then years ago we got wild caught big ones in that at that store we had some, I don't know, probably 7-foot ones that were wild caught that just those things I can remember. And I was a kid, like I was a teenager, and I can remember grabbing those things out and you have like a physical feeling when you're touching that thing. Like it just makes it. And then like my one story about a croc monitor that I think is cool is it's cool and it's also scary is I grabbed one time and its tail went around and whipped me in the eye.
Oof.
And so like literally whipped me. There I am holding this lizard that was a wild caught 7-foot ball of this all mouth. And it was showing, but I couldn't see anymore. Like my eyes teared up and I was like. So I had to sit down with it because I was just like, I can't do anything right now. So
I've been incapacitated.
Just sit down and hold on and just wait till I can see again. And then kind of go from there. Because you can't really hand it off at that point. Then you can't see and you can't whatever. So it's just one of those, I don't know. I always remember that. I always keep in the back of my mind. And we have one that we've had. I got from Dan Maliri. I don't know, 3 years ago maybe. And it's a nice animal, but he was cool for a while, and then one day I was holding on to him, and I was just sitting that. I wouldn't handle him very often, but I was looking at him, and I was like, if he really wanted to get me, he could. And so I just choked up, I just took his tail and pulled back a little bit, and as I did, right as I did that, he reached over to bite my arm, and almost like the hairs on my arm, he nipped with, and I was like, man, he was even being chill. It was just one of those things. I think he was just waiting for the right time, and luckily I saw it before he did. And so then I was like, that's the last time I even give you an ounce of
wiggle room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him an inch, they take a mile, man.
But I mean, you can still go in there and work around him and do things like that. It's not bad. It just, I don't know. Just he was definitely waiting for his moment, and so I was like, I'll remember that.
Yeah. Oof. All right, so deviating just a little bit, I have to talk about some Amazon tree boas because you have some freaking stellar red Amazons. So what drew you into Amazon tree boas originally?
So at that same pet store, I bought my first Amazon tree boas. So I had bought my first Amazon tree boas in probably the 90s. So I bought it in orange, wild-caught male and a silvery female. I bred them probably 2 years later and then produced a red baby out of that. And then just really thought they were cool. And so I bred them every year for about 10 years at that point in time, and I just keep pairs together and get them, and just such a cool snake, you know. And
Yeah.
There's a guy, Rick Stanilis. He used to be I think he's in New York actually now. But Rick Stanilis had these really nice red animals, and so I bought a red animal from him and bred those for a while. And I had a couple of generations of that, and was making really, really, really good stuff. And then I did some drywall work around here, and then something happened, and I lost that collection.
Oh man.
So I think I screwed it up, or else. Then a year ago, I don't know my time frame. So I didn't have them for a little bit. Then after that, I was like, oh, it bummed me out a little bit. And then I was able to pick up this stellar male red Amazon from one of my friends in St. Louis, Mark Warner. And so that kind of made it so I was like, well, now I've got this thing. I've got to start trying to get some animals. So
Yeah.
this thing's not do anything else. And
The addiction, yeah.
So now I'm back. So I don't know. I think I have a red female that hopefully he'll be able to breed this year. See how that goes. And you know, I don't know. I kind of think I'm just going to focus on just trying to find as many. I don't need a lot, but maybe just a couple pair of really nice red animals, or trying to make my own or whatever. But my goal is just to have a pair or two or something like that of just really good red animals and do it. That red male I have is probably one of the nicest red males I've ever seen. I think it was one of those things I just asked and said, do you have any babies? And he was like, I have this thing. And I was like, oh my God, what do I have to do to get that thing? And I was able to get it. So he's smoking hot.
Hell yeah.
I have a red female that's ready to go this year, and then I'm working on getting another female that I think will work with him as well.
Nice. So you've got the focus on the red stuff then.
Yeah, so when I did it before, I had a lot of yellow stuff, and I had some bicolor stuff, which I really like, that whole yellow and orange. Like I have a male that's like that too, so I may do that as well. But my problem is that I like a lot of animals, a lot of species.
I have that same problem.
Yeah, so you know, I was like, the things in my life that I've always had jungle carpets, and I've always had Borneos. And for a long time, I always had Amazon tree boas, and then I took a little bit of a break of that. And so I kind of, like, over the last, I don't even know how many years, but I've kind of picked up a little bit of this, picked up a little bit of that. I've had a good collection of womas. I have a good collection of ball pythons. I've got a few things. I've bred some scrub pythons this year. I have a lot of liasis, and so it makes it so it's like I can't have a whole bunch of everything. But I like I've tried to focus before, and I just don't have I don't know what the right word is, but like it's hard for me to focus because I see stuff and I'm like, man, that's cool.
Yep.
Or recently, I have a whole lot of growing up in a pet store. There's a lot of stuff you just don't see anymore. Like simple stuff. Like I was talking to a friend today, like really nice, like black and white cow kings. You just don't see them anymore. Like you did before. It was like a staple. Or like Sinaloans. You just don't see them anymore. And so I don't have either of those. But then I kind of feel like I should put a little more effort into doing stuff like that. There's things you don't see anymore. Maybe get a pair or two of this. I always had this idea that I should make like vintage herps, like to make that my business name of some sort, and like try to go and find all the stuff that you don't see, and because it's like it just can go away. It's so simple, but it just kind of goes away.
Yeah, it really is amazing how when those waves shift, and things fall out of favor and popularity. Like they fall. Some species are just like they vanish, and you're like, huh? Remember when?
Well, I find that like I've been breeding Macloss pythons and olive pythons for the last 4 years or so or whatever. But had those I had Macloss a long time ago. You couldn't give them away. I mean, you could give them away, but they didn't sell very well. Now I could make I wish I could make twice as many as I do because I don't even advertise them. People just want them. They're great snakes. I love them. All the laces stuff is so cool. But so I'm like, I try to put a little bit of effort into. I have multiple localities in Macloss that hopefully I'll be breeding this year, and
hell yeah.
So I'm trying to like just stuff like that I just think it's neat and it's active, and like, I'm looking around my room now, and the only things that I really see moving now are actually Amazon tree boas are moving, and olive pythons are looking out in Macloss. There's a sabu head looking at me too. But those are the kind of things that I just think are so neat that now they're starting to get popular, but they've been cool snakes forever. Just people didn't pay attention to them for a long time.
Now people can appreciate them.
Yeah.
Yes, it's nice. I mean, it's I think the ball python, which I never understand all the way, because there's always new people coming into the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So how the trends work, I don't know that I understand how they work. Because the new people shouldn't really be affected by the trend. They should just like whatever they see. But they definitely go along with whatever's happening. So, I still make a good amount of ball pythons. I think they're great. Every time I try to send them out, I find some other cool morph that I have to keep and make more of.
Yeah.
But there's so much other neat stuff. I mean, there's just so many. I have Everglades rat snakes. I have corn snakes. I have stuff like that. There's so many neat snakes out there that people don't appreciate. That it's if I should one of these Everglades, if I should, the thing's bright orange. Why doesn't everybody have one of those? But people don't care. The people don't even really care about them. So it's somebody's got to. I figure I will.
I think that as social media is starting to expand and as people are kind of broadening their horizons, like they might have got one pet snake and then they join a couple Facebook groups and they start seeing some of the things that other people are into, I think that's really what is starting to impact the desire for a lot of those things that have fallen out of favor to come back into favor, because Honduran milk snakes used to be everywhere. You get a Hondo for $50 or $75 tops, those tops. And then as ball pythons gained in popularity, they kind of fell away. And then now there's this resurgence of people who are interested in getting Hondurans, and they've skyrocketed in price. I've seen normal Hondurans for $250.
Yep.
And back in the day, if you saw one for $200, you're like, okay, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I made Honduran. I made albino Hondurans. I have Tangerine albinos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I posted one picture and I got more messages about that pair of snakes. And I was like, I only have one pair, and I didn't make very many babies, but I was like,
crap.
Man, I was like, who knew? It was one of those things. You just thought they were the hottest thing. They were the hottest thing I made all year was the Honduran milk snakes. So it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I think that's what people need is they need to be exposed to that something that they haven't seen before for them to be able to appreciate it. Because I get a lot of people who follow me who keep a wide variety of different things, but then after seeing me post and talk about my scrub pythons, they're like, I didn't realize that scrub pythons are so interesting. And I'm like, I've known it forever, but I'm glad that other people are starting to appreciate them. It's a double-edged sword for me because I love scrub pythons a lot, and I have this huge amount of respect for them, and I think that they're the coolest things going. But I also understand that they're not for most people because they are big and really strong, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can get fairly hurt by them. But I'm glad that more people are appreciating them just because they're getting exposed to seeing them from the ones at least that I'm working with. Mm-hmm. And I think that it just needs, like you're saying with your Everglades rat, people just need to they need to see it and see that, oh, this is why you appreciate this thing. I think I can appreciate that too. And just that exposure can really get people on the ball and get the ball rolling as far as, Everglades rat snakes are gorgeous. That bright orange to them. There is no reason why they shouldn't be as popular as a lot of the other colubrids. It's just that exposure. They need to get that exposure for them to really get their recognition.
Yeah.
I agree, and I was lucky enough to breed scrub pythons this year too. So having babies is kind of which it's kind of weird. I have 3 babies here still, which they're all sold, but some are super nice right out of the egg, and some are not.
Yes.
Which is, it's kind of weird. So they're sitting here, and some you touch, and actually the one that left already was not nice at all.
Yeah.
It's probably the prettiest of. Well, I don't know. I have one that might rival it now, but they're super interesting snakes. I mean, I don't know. We talked about having stories. So if you want a story about scrub python, my female scrub python. One day I get a call from the local animal control, and they're like, "There's this big brown snake in the backyard of this house," and so they catch it for me. I had a friend that worked over there, and somebody had left their house, had abandoned their whole collection of just pets. It wasn't that was the only snake that I know of. It must have eaten a rabbit or a raccoon or a squirrel or something.
Oh man.
So the thing had a heck of a belly on it, but it had gotten out of the cage somehow. It was in the backyard living in a wood pile.
What?
And so, so this 9 foot of fury.
Oh my God.
Moroccan scrub is, I get it, and they're like, can we bring it to you, whatever else. And so I had it, and I was just gonna. My original thought was like I was just gonna rehome it. I was gonna find somewhere for it to go, and then I had it here, and I was like, I'd had cannon bars before, but I hadn't had any big scrubs.
Yeah.
But man, I had it it's in she's still a 4 by, like one of those 48 by 28 by 28 visions, and so it was just sitting on the top, and every time I'd walk in the room, it just would like look at me and kind of come down and check me out. And I was like, man. And then after about 3 days, I was like, well, this thing's not going anywhere now. And so I thought it was so cool. Luckily, I found a male not long after that, and then it took me, I don't know, I probably had them for like 6 years before I bred them. But just they're super interesting snakes. Now they've got the longest strike range of anything I think I know of.
Yep,
Like,
and they'll use every inch of it.
They are no joke as far as like when they're ready to get you, or I mean, they're just they can be so chill, and then they can, like, if they're ready, you just got to be careful.
Yep. Yeah, especially at
They're
nighttime.
awesome snakes. Yeah, super. Well, I mean, that female, she was in a cage that was like, the bottom of the cage was probably like chest high to me.
Yeah.
And I opened up the cage one day, and she, in what seemed like a split second, her nose was on my chest.
Shit.
Like, and she didn't try to bite me. She just came out to just check me out. But it was one of those things that I was like,
whoa.
what? Like, I didn't, like, there wasn't even enough time to react. I guess I wasn't paying attention, or, like, thank goodness it wasn't, you know, I would probably act differently if it was something venomous, but I was just kind of like, I'm just looking. But it's like, man, it was the amount of speed that it had to get to where it was, and then kind of just rear back. Like, it's amazing. Like, it is one of those snakes that are super cool. I wouldn't want a lot of them. Like, I have a pair of Halmaheras, and I have some Moroccans, but like, I wouldn't want a ton of them, I don't think. But a few pairs is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, every time that I interact with them, I notice something different with how they move and how they interact with you, and every single one of them is different, and I just find that so fascinating, because like after working with, you know, thousands of different snakes, to find something that is different every time you take it out and is very, I don't want to say they're reactive, but something that's very in tune with what you're doing, like they're reading you as you're reading them. I find that super interesting, and it always keeps me interested in them.
Yeah, and I kind of think, like, I always think about these different things. I'm like, I kind of feel like somebody needs to get a big scrub python and keep that for a few years and not get bit by it ever before they ever get a cobra.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for real.
If you can deal with, like, how to move that thing around, you can deal with a king cobra.
Yes.
Like, just having dealt with both of them kind of thing. Because they both move, like, cobras are they're definitely smarter, although scrubs are smart, but cobras are on a different level. But, like, it's just kind of like, some of the movements are, like, king cobras are a little bit more agile, I'd say, whereas scrubs are a little bit more, I don't know, it's kind of hard to make the difference. They just move differently, you know what I mean? But,
yeah.
But I kind of feel like if you can put the effort in and have one of those things and not get tagged by it, that should be like your segue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And not a friendly one either, because I got a couple that are like really great, but working with a big angry scrub is definitely a formidable force.
Yes, and like when you get bit by those things, you remember it.
Oh yeah. I'm lucky, man. I haven't been bit by anything real big. Just smaller scrubs.
Yeah, that big female, she's got me twice in her lifetime. But those are things you don't remember. You don't forget those. And both of those, she's in the back of the cage and just like, I think they have like I would say she probably has like a 4 to 5 foot strike range.
Oh yeah, easy.
Like it's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, my Highland scrub python at nighttime, if you do anything inside of her enclosure at nighttime, she is using every bit of her 3 foot strike range. Like, even when I'm like, okay, I'm right on the edge of it, she's not going to get me. She's come touched the hair on my arm before. Oof. And I was like, I thought I was out of range right there.
It's kind of what makes them cool, too. I mean,
yes.
You know, as long as, it's a neat factor in keeping them, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
sure.
stuff that's spicy. You know, like it's nice to have stuff that keeps you on your toes because you don't get complacent. I mean, it's nice. It's nice to have some things that are nice, like having Borneos and having ball pythons and corn snakes and stuff like that. Those things are all they're, I don't want to say mindless, but they're a lot easier to deal with than something like those arboreal tree rockets you got to worry about.
Tree rockets. I like that. I like that. Tree rockets and meat missiles. Soon we will have
T-shirts.
Terrible names for multiple species.
Perfect.
Yes. And dude, I want to say first off, super congratulations on the scrubs because scrubs are not the easiest things to breed, and it does take a lot of effort to produce those. And you produced some Merauke, the southern scrubs this year, and then the Borneo clutch that you produced this year. Holy moly! I am like geeked.
Yeah, I will tell you that was my most exciting clutch to open up for myself.
Yes.
When I opened those things up, because I think I told you the story on text, but like I had 4 years ago, I had 3 clutches of Borneos, and I was like, I don't know. For me, it was like I was like, that's too many to have, so I sold all of the adults.
Yeah.
And I just kept the best pair. And so I was, and the male that I have is just fantastic. Like the female is really good too. She has a nice orange head. But the male I have is like he's like the epitome of like the perfect animal.
Oh yeah.
And so like these babies, they're better than him. I think. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. Yeah, the babies are just. I don't know. I need to get them going. But I'd say I did feeding trials, and about half of them have eaten. But they're only like a month old, so they're not really that old. But
yeah,
just it's crazy to see it's crazy to think of what's going to happen to these things because they're all very marbly, and there's a lot of striping, and there's a lot of like aberrant patterns to them. So there's some good orange heads in there too. It's going to be super cool to see what comes out of those. And I picked one female out, and I was like, I'm not going to keep so many. Maybe one pair I'll keep, and then I'm going to let the rest go. But I'm going to kind of wait and see what happens with them, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens.
You're a braver man than I.
They're super nice.
Yeah, I was looking at those and I was like, I would keep that one and that one and that one and that one. The parents are so nice. They've got these like bright, like peachy orange heads and like these nice striping and the speckling on the marbling on the sides. I was just like, those two animals are going to make some incredible offspring. And you know what? They did. They made some really, really cool stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of these orange heads, like some of the orange heads with I don't know, they're going to be crazy. They're going to be crazy. So yeah, I kind of feel like I'm going to get another meal into them or two maybe, and then I'll probably start taking pictures. It'd be nice if they shed sooner,
Nope.
But
you gotta wait. I hatched out some in May, and they haven't had their first sheds yet.
I know it's such a pain. Like, I mean, they still look good, but it'd be nice to get like that fresh. Like, I don't know. That's. I don't know if it's a bad thing or good. It's nice that they eat, so
yes,
I can't complain about that too much. But
yeah,
it is kind of one of those things. It's like it'd be good if they would just shed, so I could get good pictures and figure out what to do.
Yeah, for sure. And so you're only planning on keeping a pair back from that? Yeah,
because again, it's one of those things. I don't know. Is that a good idea? Maybe should I keep more? But probably just a pair. Yeah, I'll probably, unless I go through and I'm just like, it's amazing. I know Matt Minatola said he picked one out like right off the bat, and so the male that produced my pair was one that I got from him, and he's a super good friend, so he can have whatever he wants, kind of thing. You know, whatever he picks out, I guess, as long as it's not the one that I picked out. But I don't think it is. So, I mean, other than that, yeah, I mean, I think that's all I'm going to worry about is probably just try to pick out a pair. I really like the striping stuff on them, so I'll probably just pick out the female that I picked out has a lot of striping and some good marbling, and so we'll kind of go from there. It's just the genetics on those things are so interesting to me. So I took just like the original parents, the grandparents there was not a marbled anything in any of them. It was a super stripe. It was a matte super stripe. Bred to the parents to that one were bred to a Keith McPeak ghost stripe line animal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, but the stuff from Keith, the head, that's where the orange head comes from. Is that stuff from Keith? Is that grandmother was like, she had a red head.
Hell
She was stripy and she had a really nice red head. So it was pretty much just the perfect pairing, I think.
I agree.
Because like I bred that same male to a ghost female and got all ghost-looking animals, and then I bred him to it was like an 18-year-old female that I'd gotten from Tracy, just a straight Borneo and they almost came out all normal. So like it had some striping, but it's so weird how Borneo genetics are so interesting.
Yeah, so variable.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, you never know what you're going to get. Obviously with these, everything has marble in it, so this marble to marble is going to make it, so at least that way you know you're going to get what you're going to get. But it's just so interesting to breed that stuff because it makes it, it's not predictable. It's kind of like you got to wait and see, which is exciting.
It's like the Amazons where you're like, okay, I kind of know what I'm going to produce, but then every now and again you're like, what the heck is that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, for me, I've gotten really lucky with Amazons. I had a yellow pair that I bred a pair of yellows, and all the babies would come out yellow. And then when I had
Nice.
I had that original Rick Stanulus red male, actually it was red female, everything I bred, no matter, I used an orange male to her, and when I did, I got like 80% were red and 2 were orange.
Nice.
And one garden. So like these red ones, man, if you get the right red ones, which I'm hoping these are like that, it was almost like it was dominant. It took over.
That's
which I know
cool.
I like
people have
that.
been talking about that. Yeah, so I'm hoping to find out. I know somebody, maybe Abby, maybe I saw somebody on the internet saying that they were putting together something like that, and that part of the reds had some dominant to them, which I was like, I really hope that's the case, because that's one of those things that I'd have, like, I could see myself hoarding some of those.
Yeah.
Not that I
Yeah.
want, not that I need so many, but I could, like, I don't know. You can hoard everything. That's the problem. That's my problem. That's why I try not to do it. I'm a pair or two kind of guy. Like, I like a pair or two of this and a pair or two of that, and I'm like, that way I have a backup if need be, or I can have multiple bloodlines and not have too many, because I definitely can have issues.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Keep too much stuff.
I know that feeling so well. I've never been able.
You guys are in the same boat as me, because it's like I work with animals all day and then I come home and work with them again at night.
Yep.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
so it's like you guys are the same way.
Yeah, and I am in the same boat as you, where I like too much to not work with to not work with it. So I think I've probably got maybe like 120 animals or so, but probably like 15 or 16 different species.
Yeah, a lot of species.
And I've now come to an understanding with myself that I can't fit anything else in that room right now.
That's what I was gonna say.
But I mean, can you really do that?
I think I did. I didn't think it was possible, but given the limitations of my room, I think I did. But it has forced me to start looking at those few species I have a lot of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't need that. I could make space
that's
for
fine.
this that I really like.
Well, I'm at that same place with you, where I'm like, I really don't know that I could fit any more. I do have 2 empty cages in here, but
Yeah.
I actually have 3 looking around. But they have something that's going to move into them. But I'm at
Exactly.
the point where it's like I need to be careful with what I do. So I'm not as good about that as I should be, but I do my best.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, empty bin. Oh no, it's already got. Somebody's already going in there. It's just not happening today. Something's going in there.
Well, and that's why I have a cage open, because I have one Madagascar ground ball, a male, and I'm like, I've got to keep something open, because if a girl comes up, I've got to be able to put her somewhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
for
they
sure.
are not the easiest thing in the world to come by. So
True.
Not at all.
I know you guys made some, but you guys aren't selling any, probably, are you?
I'm not sure, because every time that I assume that Kevin's not going to sell something, he's like, put it up for sale. And then the things that I'm like, oh, we're definitely going to sell that, he's like, are you crazy? We're keeping that. And I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Until he tells me that it's for sale or he tells me it's not for sale, I don't make any assumptions anymore. But we did produce a
He's just
pair.
like everybody else.
Yeah, we did produce a pair this year. So we've got the adults, and then the offspring that we produce, 1 male, 1 female.
So there's no way he's selling a lone girl unless he sells both. So,
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I don't know.
Because it wouldn't surprise me if he sold both of them.
Yeah, because we have
We have the adults.
2.2.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, well,
We'll keep
You know how to
you
get
in mind.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you've got a couple kids, and they have shown a little bit of an interest in the reptiles. Did you say? Do you see any like future us in them? Do you see any them turning into like reptile keepers and down the road, or do you think that they might go off in their own direction?
My daughter likes to do she likes to do whatever she can do with me, kind of thing. So we had eggs pipping today, so I bring them out there. She always gets to look at everything. I try to make sure she's involved whenever I'm pulling any eggs or pulling whatever else, just so she gets to see it. She likes it, but she kind of gets over it. Whereas, my son is 16 months old, so I don't know that he could tell you exactly what he wants. But
Yeah.
man, if you go somewhere and there's a turtle, he's going to see that turtle. He wants to touch that turtle. That. He is all about I don't know. We were talking about that this weekend. We went to a place and there were some turtles, and he was just enamored. And we have some reptile tortoises outside. He just loves that kind of stuff. He's a little bit rough. I've tried to get him to do some snake stuff, but he's a little bit too rough. So,
being so young, yeah.
Because you can't tell him. You can, you're not going to listen. So you can't really tell him to do so much. So he likes, if I come back here, he's always trying to get in the door. And he likes to come look around, and he likes to look around. So I kind of feel like if anybody's going to do anything, it would be him. Plus, he's also fearless. I know he's a little boy, and he's little, but my daughter is kind of, I don't know, but she's cautious about most things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know that she would jump into things. She'd come back here and do whatever it is as long as everything was safe.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I'll have to. I've started buying animal plastics cages with the locks and trying to switch over some of my stuff to that, because I worry about as he gets older, he's going to be like, oh, let me just see what the heck's over here. What's over here?
Yeah.
I think he's just going to be kind of balls to the wall as far as things go. Which I could the way he is, I wouldn't be surprised. If he sees a dog, he grunts at it. If he sees an animal on TV or anything else, he growls at it. He interacts with any animal he sees.
Yeah.
So he definitely is. He intrigues me to see what he'll end up being.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So far, he's just a wrecking ball.
He's a child.
He is all boy, and he is. I don't know. I feel like all we do is just try to make sure he doesn't get hurt. He's just going to be into everything. He's going to lead with his head, and he's just going full force wherever he can. He's adorable, but boy, is he is. He's determined.
It's a good trait. It just needs to get reeled in and maintained appropriately.
Yeah, well, as soon as he gets to the point where he's at the point now where you can tell him to do whatever, and he listens somewhat, but he's not old. As he gets a little bit older, it'll be interesting to see how he develops.
Yeah.
'Cause he really has no fear. It's nice, but I feel like all we do is just try to make sure he doesn't get hurt.
Well, boys will be boys. That's for sure.
There's definitely gender differences in this house as far as those two. And everybody we talk to, it's crazy. She's so I don't know. She's just so much easier than he is as far as that kind of thing goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, if I don't really have plans on having kids, but I could see that being the thing that stresses me out the most is just the idea of them going into the reptile room and opening something up. Because scrub pythons, blood pythons, short-tailed pythons, and I eventually do want to work with venomous, and that would just keep me up at night just thinking about that. I mean, have a lock on the door and be like, nope, you're not in there unless I'm in there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we have two. In our house, the snakes are in the back, so you'd have to go through two doors to get here, and there's the lock on the door here, and then as you get in here, I have racks and stuff. I have racks on the bottom and cages on the top.
Yeah.
For the most part, and so, but the cages have locks, and just try to make it so it says, they can't get in. They really can't get in here unless you let them back here.
You're in there, yeah.
But I will say, I waited till I was 40 to have a child, which I think was, it was one of the things where I was like, this is crazy, but it actually kind of worked out, and I wouldn't trade it as far as anything goes. It's definitely, if you do have some, you'll like it. They'll change your world, but you'll like it.
Yeah, I see. I love being around kids. I love teaching kids, and like that's one of the things that's definitely helped me in doing education and doing programs and stuff. Is that I love how interested kids can be when it comes to reptiles and animals, and like almost every kid is like fascinated in some way with turtles. Like I don't know what it is about turtles, but it just draws the children's attention, and
Yeah.
and so I always love doing programs because if I can get kids interested in reptiles, that means that they're not going to want to hurt them. If they see someone hurting them or you know, someone being mean to a reptile, they're going to stop that person, and that's better for everybody. It's better for the animal and it's better for everyone else too. And that is definitely something that people have always been like, Rob, you gotta have kids because you'd be a great dad. And I'm like, yeah, I would be a great dad, but I'm also very scared of the world right now. So I'm not trying to have, you know, it's just, it stresses me out thinking about it.
So a friend of mine once told me, because I was at a point in my life where I was like, I'm not going to have kids. The world doesn't need any more.
Yeah.
And he's like, if the good people don't breed, who's going to offset the bad ones?
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But you know, also, you know, kids are great because they're not born fearful of snakes. People teach them that, you know.
Yep.
So all this stuff that, you know, it's all learned behavior. So, you know, if you can teach them when they're little, you know, I mean, to like some of this stuff or just to appreciate, they don't have to like it, just appreciate it or understand it and not be, you know, really nobody has to love the stuff as long as they just understand that it has a role.
Yes.
And that it's, you know, that it's an active part of the ecosystem and it's something interesting and another living being. You have to understand how they work. And, you know, I don't know, I always try to talk to people, you know, like you put a live rat in a cage and the snake doesn't want to eat, the rat eats it. Like, they're not malicious. They're not just going to go kill stuff to kill stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, you know, they do it because they have to, not so much because they want to, because a lot of these, there's plenty of snakes out there that have gotten bitten by things that, you know, if they were smarter and if they were, I don't want to say smarter, but if they'd be like, you know,
for my survival, I should
eliminate
probably kill
the
this thing. It's going to kill me otherwise.
they're you know, in nature they just would leave.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and then we put them in a box and they can't leave.
Yeah.
And then the rat wins those things. So, you know, they're not these monsters that people make them out to be. It's just and so that's I mean, it's what you're doing too. It's what I do every day. You know, our job is to try to teach people that, you know, these animals are here for a reason. That, you know, that's why I always just try to say, you don't have to love them, but just understand them and just realize that they have a purpose. And
Yeah.
you know, they're not out to get you. None of them are out to get you.
Yes, 100%. Like, my dad is from the Caribbean, and so a lot of the people who live on his island are very afraid of snakes, even though the island that he comes from, Dominica, it does not have any native venomous snakes. All the snakes that live on that island are non-venomous, to my knowledge. He's terrified of snakes. He's been terrified of snakes his whole life, and he didn't come to the United States until he was about 20 years old. And to this day, he's never willingly touched a snake. Like, the other day, he came up and visited me at Nerd, and I had just come back from doing a 5-year-old's birthday party. So I was, like, bringing snakes in and bringing some reptiles and putting them back into their enclosures and stuff. And I had brought a, like, maybe 10 or 12-foot long reticulated python, one of the cow retics that's, like, just gorgeous, and she's super laid back. One of the ones we had brought to Tinley last year. And I took her out of the bin I'd brought her in and start feeding her back into her enclosure. And my dad is like, "Oh my God, that thing's huge. How can you do that?" He's like standing on the other side of the room. He's like, "No, that's too big." And I was like, "This one isn't even big, Dad. What are you doing?" And so I like took out one that was like probably like 16 or 17 feet long. And he's like, "It's the size of a telephone pole. What are you doing?" It's good. And he's like freaking out. And I'm like, "Dad, you know that I work with these every day, right? And like, I'm still alive, so they're not that bad." He's like, "You know, I understand that, but I just can't get over, like, I just been raised to not be cool with them, so I'm not cool with them."
You should have brought him over here.
No.
Seen the 20-footers.
Yeah, the 20-footers, no. Nah, even those ones make me nervous, man.
Yeah.
They're too big.
Yeah. No, I know. Trust me, I know.
We had a 19-foot retic that was, it's just, you can't even control those things all the way. So you get somebody around that's not comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean,
not good.
You got to be careful with those things. But
Yeah.
like on a similar note, my parents have never been to since we've renovated the reptile building. My parents have never gone to it to see it.
Yeah.
It was not their thing, you know. So, you know, I don't even know if they've been in my snake room. Like, I don't even, like, they may have. But,
Yeah.
They were over here for a birthday. They were over for a birthday party, and I brought one of my nephews in here, and he was in here for about 35 seconds, then he was gone. So nobody had a desire to come look.
Yeah.
My older brother did. He looked longer than his son, but yeah, they just some people have it, some people don't. I always just think it's weird because I had a ton. I wasn't allowed to have snakes until I made many breeding bearded dragons. So I had lizards for the first few years after I convinced her to let me have those.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then my first snakes were carpet pythons, and so. But I was breeding bearded dragons. I was like, look, Mom, I can make money on this kind of thing. I can do whatever else. And that was the only way that I actually got her convinced her to let me get snakes. And so by the time I moved out, I had a trio of coastal carpets and a pair of green tree pythons. And that was
damn. What a way to kick it off.
And yeah, those were my first snakes. And so that but she was she could have cared less about those things. The only thing I ever had that she really liked was I had Chinese water dragons as a kid. She loved those.
Yes.
But everything else she could have cared less about. And monitors, I had Savannah and I had a black roughneck. Those things could go away, and to this day, if I put a picture up of a monitor, she'll be like, I don't like those.
See, my mom always kept tarantulas, and she's always been into the reptiles and stuff.
That's cool.
So when my nephew started showing an interest, he's just turning he's just 6 years old now. And when my mom brought him up to visit, he's like, I want to hold everything. I got to touch it. And my mom's like, oh my God, he reminds me of you when you were that age.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but my mom loves it. And she's always had tarantulas the entire time growing up. Even before I was born, she had pet tarantulas. And so she still loves, she's actually got, my first pet snake that I ever got was a ball python. And I've had him for 17 years now, right around 17 or 18 years. And when I moved out, she was like, are you taking all the snakes? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, I kind of want to keep Monty. Because we used to use him for educational programs. And she just was like, he likes being, around the house. And I was like, that's fine if you want to keep him. So she still got my first ball python, and she loves him. And so my nephew gets to hang out with him and get some reptile time when he's not hanging out with Uncle Rob. So I appreciate that. And it's just it's cool to see, how he's so into it, and then me, and then my mom. But my dad is like, nope, no, thank you. Yeah. I am so not into that. Oh, it's too
funny. Awesome that your mom's into all that stuff.
Yeah, dude, she's hardcore. Dude, you want to hear a crazy story? So, 2009, I went to the Daytona Beach Reptile Expo, and I convinced a bunch of my friends to come down with me, and my mom came down too, and she helped us book the hotels and everything because we were 20 years old or something like that. And so while we're at the expo, my mom comes up to me and she's like, they have salmon pink bird eaters here. And I was like, what? And she's like, I've been looking for a bird eater, not the Theraphosa bird eaters. I want the salmon pink bird eaters, and they've got them here, and they're not expensive. And I was like, yeah, but we flew here, so we can't do that. I don't know how to. I've not shipped the tarantula at that. Actually, I might have shipped tarantulas at that time. I was like, I could probably ship it, but it's not practical right now. Why don't we just buy one when we get back? And she's like, I don't know. And then she went away for an hour and came back with a little vial, and she's like, I bought one. And I was like, how are we going to get this home? What are you doing? We have to go through airport security. She's like, I'm just going to put it in my bra and it'll be fine. And I was like, you're not going to do that. That's not going to get through airport security. And she's like, oh yeah, want to bet? No joke. She put it in a smaller vial, put it right in her bra, got right through airport security, and got it all the way back to Boston. I was like, are you kidding me right now? That's so wild. That's in 2009. That's after 9/11 when they were doing all the security checks and shit. But she looks like an innocent old woman, because she's got gray hair now. She's got gray hair. So they never would have suspected her of doing anything. And if she found it, she's like, I would have told them that I just found it on the floor. She's so crazy. I love it.
Your mom's a real life lizard king.
She
legit.
She's all about it. And so I don't know, that's definitely where I get it from, though. It's straight from her.
Yeah.
It's no question, because it's not my dad.
I just wonder about buying animals just to have them so they get to see them.
Yeah.
I've thought about getting some scorpions or some some spiders just to have them so the kids just see them. So it's not something that's novel.
Yeah.
Just, it's one of those things that do you need all that stuff? But I don't know. Those are the kind of thoughts that go through. Like, how can we, what can we do to make it so they're exposed to as much stuff as possible?
Yes.
And they get to go to the zoo, and they get to go. We just went on vacation, and they got to go to an aquarium and see things. We stopped by. I have a friend that has the Outer Banks lizard land down on the way down there. So we stopped and looked at some lizards down there, and that's what my son got to see some tortoises. They got to run around. But I try to do as much of that as possible, just so they're exposed to things, so it's not so new and crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. My folks, when I was growing up, were very similar to yours. Like, I had lizards first, and then I had to like convince them to get the snakes, and was like, what? All right, fine, I'll do the little book report or whatever you need me to do.
That's what I had to do.
Right.
But my mom, I remember, I think it was like when I moved up here, my mom was like, Jeremy's all moved up, whatever. It's weird that the house is empty, but the weirdest part is not having 100 snakes in the spare room anymore.
Yep.
And she's like, I kind of miss that. And I was down there visiting, and she still has my my redfoot tortoise.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And and she's like, it's all I have.
That's
because when I was really when I had all my stuff there, she used to help me come in and take care of the carpet. She loved carpets, so she loved carpet pythons. So whenever I was cleaning the carpet pythons, she would be like, "Do you need help with the carpets?" And she'd just would be like, "Yeah, here, hold this 7.5 foot coastal carpet python." She's like, "Wee!" Take it into the other room, and she loved it. And I think the only time she was ever really mad at me for bringing a snake in the house was when I snuck that big berm into the house. It was like a 16-foot berm. It was like, she's like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "It's a snake."
I wouldn't have survived if I did that.
It's fine. It's
my
a
dad would have
snake.
killed me.
Yeah, my dad never really minded until the topic of how many animals I had came up, and then he was like, "There's too many."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's fine though. It's fine. You don't even do anything.
you don't
with
have to
them.
take
It's
care of them. It's
fine.
okay.
It's fine. But you have too many. You don't go outside." I'm like,
Yeah.
"I don't need to go
He
outside.
needs to go outside.
I have all these things that were outside are inside now. I'm okay."
Oh man.
That's funny. Some kids have video games, you had snakes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
for real.
I transitioned right from Pokemon to real Pokemon.
Yeah,
So
you gotta collect them all.
collect them all. That's
gotta
right.
catch them all.
That's right. Oh man.
It just becomes a way of life, and that's, and I don't know if it's this way, but all of my friends, well, not all, but 90% of my friends in life and career and whatever else have come from my reptile hobby.
Yep.
From most of my best friends are from when I worked at a pet store. My job came from working at a pet store. It's like all of those things is just whatever you have. Life changes as you have kids. You get new friends, you get new things, which, I have a lot of cool new friends that I've met because of that. But, my oldest friends and oldest, the way of how just life goes is all due to being involved in reptiles. So, it's got so many good avenues that come from it.
Yeah.
That aren't weird,
For
for sure.
So I still have friends. I'll see stuff, especially on Facebook, that'll be because I get to identify every wild snake all summer long in spring and fall.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
always, yeah.
My phone is going off every day, whatever else, and some of my friends are like, "You're that weird snake guy." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm just, whatever else, as long as you're not killing it, I don't care. You call me whatever you want." And then I'll be like, "Well, I try to do this to educate you and whatever else," and they actually 20 years later start to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. And it's funny to me because I've filtered my Facebook friends so much that and most of my friends have come from the reptile hobby. It's weird to me because some of my friends, they're like, "I hate it. Whenever I post a picture of my snake, I get a bunch of people who comment about how gross it is and you should burn your house down and blah, 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 and all this, that, and the other thing."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think I've ever gotten one of those because if anyone, I don't think I would even add someone who would say that. I don't have friends outside of it's very few people that are in my bubble that aren't reptile people.
Yeah, and the good thing about it too, I always think about, like for me, the people that I looked up to the most when I was a teenager and early 20s and going to Orlando and whatever else, like the Keith McPeaks and the Craig Trumbauers of the world, whatever else, like are now my friends. You know, it's like
Yeah.
you know, I spent all the, like I could, like Keith especially, when I was I don't know, I was probably 19. I would just gawk at everything, because he always had marble borneos and he had Tanzania and he had who else. I would just like, I don't know, I probably bothered the crap out of him. At least I felt like I did. I was like, you know, and then as we got older, I talked to him more and more, and like, you know, we text regularly, and we have actually his daughter and his daughter has a daughter that was born on the same day as my son, and so his daughter and my wife have become friends on, you know, through Facebook and through whatever else. It's just, you know, it's kind of awesome. These people that were your idols, and they're probably still my idol a little bit, but you know, become your friends. You know, it's like, it's amazing to be able to have that, which I don't know that there's many other things you do that like those people you look up to so much become like your peer, and they might even ask you a question.
Yeah,
so that's the crazy part. You know, now Keith might be like, "Hey, do you have an idea about this?" And I'm like, "You're asking me?"
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, and that is definitely something that I love about this hobby, is that you can get there. You can get to that point where, you know, I definitely looked up to Keith. I look up to, you know, Kevin. I looked up to Kara, and now, you know, I consider these people like, not, I don't want to say they're my peers, because I feel like I'm still like, hey, I'm just this weird reptile kid, but like, you know, I talk to them on a regular basis and we're friends. And if you had told me that, you know, like 15 years ago that would be the case, I probably wouldn't have believed you. I would have been like, nope, those guys they're doing it. They're doing the reptile thing and like really crushing it. And I'm not that person. But it's just been very humbling to be able to, you know, consider Keith a friend, and Kara and Kevin and like some of the other people that I've met through the hobby. And it's very, you know, it's not many other avenues. Like you were saying, there's not a lot of other avenues of your life that can happen. Like, I love Scarlett Johansson movies. I'm not meeting Scarlett Johansson. I've accepted that fact. It's not happening, and I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, it's okay, Rob.
Yeah.
well, yeah, and then you also get to the point where, like, I have a good friend that has a pet store here that, you know, at this point in time, I had, like, I hate to say it, but like, I guess I was somewhat of that person for him, you know, and so like he sent me a message before and been like, you know, it's so crazy that we're friends now and we hang out. Like, I never would have thought that 15 years ago or whatever else. And it's like, so like, I don't know, I would never would have thought that I influence him in the same way that those people influence me. Yeah. And so it's cool to be able to be that person, you know?
Hell
yeah, for sure. I was just talking to somebody last night who they reached out to me on Instagram, and they've been a follower of mine since like
J&D.
The old days, like J&D, and he messaged me on Instagram, and what he wanted to talk about I would have much rather discussed on the phone, so I was like, call me.
Yeah.
You know, here's my number, call me, whatever. And he called me and he's like, dude, I honestly can't believe we're actually talking on the phone right now. And I was like, hey man, we're reptile people.
Yeah, we're reptile
like,
people.
It doesn't matter. We all like the same shit. But like that is never, because when I used to do YouTube, I used to get that at shows. People would come up to me and be like, oh my God, I love your YouTube and blah, 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 I can't believe I'm meeting you. And that has never felt normal.
No,
to me.
It still feels weird to me. Yeah.
Ever. Yeah, but I think it's funny because I'm listening to you guys talk about the circle of friends and everything, and over the years, especially as I've grown my musician friends, I never would have thought that anybody would have been like, oh, I see your reptile stuff all the time, and I literally, like, I take my mask off for 1 second and am literally hit with, you're the guy that you work with Kevin. What? Why are you here? And I'm like, I'm also the trumpet player. And that's probably been one of the coolest things for me, is like having moments where both of what I do actually combine, and collide with each other. Like, I've been asked in the past to like write music for other podcasts that used to exist years ago that don't really exist much now, and like, but that was always the coolest thing. I was like, woo, I get to
reptiles
both
and
things. Yes,
music, yeah.
yes, I can do it. But that's always been really cool for me. But every once in a while, I'll get somebody as a musician that sees me post something about a snake. And they're like, "Bah, what is that? Why is this on my timeline?" Or I'll get recognized at musician trade shows, and they're like, "You're the guy that posts all the damn snakes." My news feed was normal until I accepted your friend request.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, my sister-in-law was like, one time I put a video up of a scrub eating or something like that, and she texted me and was like, "I just unfollowed you. I just want you to know that." So
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, so we are actually winding down towards the end of our time here, but at the end of each of these episodes, we usually like to ask our guests one final kind of like wrap-up question, and that being, what in the realm of reptiles, be it something in your collection, something that you've seen on social media, or anywhere in the realm of reptiles, what has got you excited about reptiles?
Oh man, what a question that is.
I know.
The thing for me that gets me excited about reptiles is, I'm telling you, like every day there's something new that I'm like, should I get one of those? Like today, and it's weird. I have this collection of all these amazing Indo-Australian pythons, and I have some, and then I have some corn snakes, and I have everybody's rat snakes. And then today I'm like, I haven't seen a really nice black and white cow king in a long time, like a striped one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started looking, and then I'm like, ooh, I kind of found that. I even posted the thing on a Colubrid Crazy thing, and I was like, and then people sent me pictures, and I was like, man, that was exciting. And I'm like, I used to buy those for like $22.
Yeah.
As a wholesale animal. And I'm like, today, I was like, man, that's exciting. Like, and they're like $150 or something. Like that. They're more expensive. But I'm like, to me, the thing of reptiles that's so exciting is that happens to me like probably daily. I don't know. It happens to me all the time where it's like, I'll just catch a glimpse of something, or I'll start like thinking about something, and I'll be like, man, I haven't seen those in a while. Maybe I should have one of those. There's never an end to what I'm learning and what I think intrigues me. Luckily, I don't act on all of it and get everything, or I would be overwhelmed. But so the fact is that I've been doing this. How old am I? So I've been doing this like 30 years of my life. 30 years of my life I've been doing this, and I'm still excited about it.
Yes.
And I'm still excited to hatch a baby, and I'm still excited to get a species. And I have an idea in my head now of like, I need to get all the species that I had or that I worked with when I was in my early 20s that you don't see anymore. I'm like all that simple stuff that was around, like I feel like it's going to go away and nobody's going to be able to appreciate it. And I'm like, I have those things in my head that I can fall back on, but it's always exciting. And again, I work with it all day. I work 40 hours plus a week with it, and then I come home and my kids go to bed and my wife goes to bed, and I work in my snake room until I'm tired and go to bed.
Yep.
But I'm never, I'll have a night where I take a night off or whatever else. But I'm excited about it every day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
My wife sometimes tells me that I'm more excited about it than some of our family things that I need to work on. But,
the plague of a snake keeper.
Legit.
Yeah, I think, I don't know that there's a single thing. I think the thing that excites me the most is that it's exciting. It's just, I think it never gets old. I don't see, I don't know that, I don't do it for a living, but I mean, but I have enough that it helps me here and there. But I don't ever see it where I'd be without one, or 5 or 10 or whatever. I don't even know. I always been would I want to get down to 4 pairs or something and just have it so it's easy and whatever else? But I'm I don't even know that I could do that. I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I like so much, and even sometimes it's the same one. Womas. I have 5 womas, but they're all different. I don't know that it'd be hard to pick one. I've picked through them over the years, but I've produced all the ones that I have. So I've picked out the ones that I like over the years. So it's it's so hard to even pick a single out of a group.
All All right. So if people want to find out more about you and what you're doing, where should they look you up on social media land?
Just look up Dennis McNamara. I just have one Facebook page. I don't have a business page or anything. It's just mine. So I try to post on groups when I have babies, so you can, or if you have a question or anything, you're welcome to message me, or Instagram. I'm BB Dennis on Instagram. Either one of those. I try to post pictures whenever I think about it, and sometimes I have a lull. But yeah. So if you ever need to get in touch with me, those are the easiest ways to get in touch with me. And I don't know. I think I'm pretty responsive.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
So thank you very much for coming on tonight, man. We really appreciate it. It's a good time. We're going to have you on again sometime again soon.
Yeah, that went by very fast.
Yes, it did. All right, man. Take care. Have a good night.
Thanks. You guys have a good night.
See ya.